For the July button bracelet, I thought we would go with red, white, and blue.
Avante jewelry, come and see. Jewelry making inspiration for free. New and upcycled design so bright. Creative ideas day and night.
So I got into my button stash and I pulled out some vintage buttons on cards. And I tell you what, it's a little bit hard sometimes to take vintage buttons off of their original cards. But I need red, white, and blue buttons. And I'm going to work with what I have. And if you don't want to make a red, white, and blue bracelet, well, just use whatever color you would like. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Vickie. Welcome. If you're coming back, thank you for that too. And today we're going to make a buttoned up bracelet that's red, white, and blue. And some of you might recognize my red, white, and blue necklace that I have on. That was in the estate sale haul. One of you said in a comment that I'd probably have fun wearing it, and I am. All right, let's get started. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using all of these buttons, but we'll take a look at them. La Chic, definitely vintage, 39 cents for the card. These are 7/16, says it right here. I have some red buttons that are vintage by Streamline, 59 cents back in the day. They are 9/16. And one thing these all have in common is they are shank buttons. La Baton, probably not saying that right, made in Japan. Originally, I think Kmart, 32 cents. These are 1/2 inch. Not sure if I'm using these or not because they're not a bright white. They're kind of slightly off-white. Wow, look at these buttons. BGE Originals. Bought them for 50 cents, but originally $1.25. Well, I may not have paid 50 cents, but at some point they sold them for 50 cents. But these do not have a shank, so these are a maybe. Not sure if I can work these in or not, but these are pretty cool. Made in USA for Bailey, Green, and Elger Incorporated in New York, a Lintex company. And these buttons, little round ball buttons, are, I don't know, it doesn't tell me a lot. It doesn't tell me much about the size. 3/39 size or what, or 3 on. I don't know. I can't tell you much about these other than they're blue. So this is what I have pulled out for buttons. We'll have to decide which ones we're working with. As I said in my opening, your button stash and your bead stash is going to be completely different from mine. So don't feel that you have to make a red, white, and blue bracelet. Make whatever color you would like. I mean, that's the fun of making jewelry, right? So go for it. And keep in mind that my videos are for inspiration. I make these videos in hopes of inspiring you to get into your bead stash, your button stash, and have fun. That's what it's all about. Speaking of having fun, let's get back to this. Off to the side, I have some other beads and findings from prior upcycles. I have some white beads, assorted red beads, some red crystals, a little bit of red, white, and blue. I think I made something with these last year. Some more red beads, round navy blue beads. This is a mixed bag of assorted blue beads because that's how I organize my beads. I organize them by color. Some red crystal beads, red round beads. They might be a little too orange looking here. Have a little bit of, maybe just a little bit of orange tint. I have some crystal rondelles and some seed beads, and these are bead soup, meaning I have a variety of shades of blue and a variety of shades of red in here. You'll need some beading wire, and I use 49 strand, 0.018. And I'll put a QR code on the screen here for the beading wire that I use. And then I'll probably be using my flat nose pliers and chain nose pliers at some point. So this is what I pulled out to work with, and I most certainly won't need all of it. I have to make some tough decisions here on what we're going to use in this red, white, and blue button bracelet, perhaps a buttoned up bracelet. If we do a button clasp, yeah, I need to make some decisions here. Give me just a minute to think about it, and I'll be right back. I'm really drawn to these red buttons, even though they're not shank buttons. I'm wondering if I could work with my wire and weave it up through and pick up some other beads or maybe another button and go back down through. So even though it's a beautiful vintage button card, I'm going to take one of these off of here. I mean, isn't that why we collect our vintage buttons? To use them? Uh-oh, say goodbye. Got it. Because I'm not sure if I'm doing a 1 strand or 2 strand button bracelet, I'm going to start out with 24 inches of wire, beading wire. Again, it's 49 strand, 0.018. It's what I use all the time. And since I'm thinking about this button being my center focal point, I'm going to go ahead and go through both ends. This is a little frayed here. I'm going to go ahead and cut that one more time. I've never done this before, so I don't know if it's going to work, but I want to even up the ends, bring the ends together. Through this button now, I want to put something on top of this. I have these blue buttons and I have these red buttons, but we don't want red on red, so I have the blue, and then I have this crazy little ball button. I think it could be kind of fun there. It is a matte finish versus the shiny, glossy finish of these buttons. I went through all my buttons and I only have so many to work with. I also could use just a bead. I mean, these look just like the buttons. I'll show you here. Look how close this bead is to the button, and it's shiny. So we are going to be working in beads in this button up cycle, red, white, and blue button up cycle, not just buttons, because I want to add some other color and pattern and texture. So I am crossing the wire through the bead. See what happens here. Oh, look at that. Now we've got a polka dot in the center of the big button. But I think it will work. Let's go back down through the hole so that we can secure this. And I do hope I cut enough wire for this. And I guess I'm really not going to have a 2-strand bracelet anymore because guess what? I don't have 2 strands on each side. Didn't think about that in the moment. Just trying to straighten this around. You can see the wire. I guess that's the downside. You can see the wire on the sides. So maybe a button would be better. A shank button. Okay, I'm going to change my mind on that. We are practicing, trying this idea. So I'm going to not do this particular bead. And as I said, I really don't have a 2-strand bracelet anymore by starting in the center like this. That's okay. You know, I make 2 strands sometimes, and sometimes I make single strand. Let's go ahead and, or do we want a white button on here? Decisions. Do we want to go ahead and put a blue button here, a shank button? I so wish I had a white shank button. That's bright white, not off-white. Pearlescent. Maybe I should just say pearlescent. Let me look around my table here and I'll be right back. I decided to cut another 24-inch length of wire. And I'm going to run this second wire through here, just like I did the first one. When I took that little pause to think about things and see what else I have to work with, I just decided I really do want to make a 2-strand bracelet. And I can see I grabbed a different spool wire. They're slightly different color, just slightly, but that's not a concern. When it comes to making jewelry, trying new ideas can also require a lot of decision making. And this is the stage where you can easily give up. But being true to my style of videos, I show you the reality of what it takes when you're making something for the first time. With that said, let's keep going. See if I can make the ends meet. See how well I did in my measurement. That's pretty good. We're ready for a button or bead on top of here. I'm going to go with one of these after all. I always think these pins are cool that they put on the back here to secure the buttons. I know there's probably a special name for them. Maybe they're shank pins. I don't know. Trying to get that off of here. We just need one of these shank buttons in blue. I am going to go through this and cross my wire. So that's the first side. Bring the ends together and cross through the opposite side. Tighten up the wire as need be. It does sit above it just a little bit, but at least you're not going to see as much wire as we did on the bead versus the button. Let's go down through here and down through here. Now, because we are working with 2 strands, whatever we add to this bracelet needs to be able to accept 4 strands at some point. Not just 2, but eventually 4. You'll see as we get to that point. It's probably when we get to the clasp. Is it secure? Yes. It sits up a little bit. I hope it doesn't look too goofy. This is going to be a whimsical bracelet, okay? I'm trying to get this to where I can show it to you. That's the top. Because of the style of button this is, the shank sits down below the round part, but it's going to move. It's going to move to the side. I didn't see that coming, so I guess maybe it's not the best button after all. I think it's time for take 3. But remember, what I'm showing you here will save you time when you go to do this because we're learning together. I don't like how this is going to slide from side to side. This particular blue button, vintage button, has a very unusual cut at the bottom of the shank. And it's been quite challenging. It's not layering like I want it to layer. But am I giving up? Absolutely not. I have a flower button, a flower shank button left over from my last bracelet. Maybe something flatter like this will work because it will kind of sit down in the button. At least it's not going to tilt side by side. My wire is not completely evened up here. I'm going to go back down through. Sometimes we just have to get creative with it, right? Uh-oh, I need both of these to go back down through, both wires. There, got it. And then both of these wires. I guess we could have also used just a 2 or 4 hole button in blue, and then we would see the wire. Okay, is this one going to move back and forth? It does. It does move back and forth. It really sits up high on there. Otherwise, it's pretty cute. It's going to move a little bit, but not as much as the bottom of this shank button. Do you see how that is raised up there? So I'm going with the flower, and I'm just tightening things up and going to bring my ends together and see how I'm doing there. I think we're pretty good. I think we are ready. By the way, that's what the bottom looks like. I think we're ready to start adding some more beads. It took several tries, but I have to tell you, I like the flower button on top the best. It's the best fit for layering. Sometimes you just don't know until you try. And next we're going to add some red, white, and blue beads. Yes, beads, and maybe a few more buttons. And maybe a button clasp. I have assorted red, white, and blue beads left over from other upcycles. We have the blue button that I tried to use. I still have these red buttons and these blue buttons. I think, because I want to incorporate some more buttons, I think I'm going to go with that red matches pretty good. The blue looks fine. Oh my gosh. The white I've eliminated.
Buttoned up and beautiful, come along with me. Red, white, and blue, as pretty as can be. Jewelry making waves, bringing smiles all day.
Well, at least 2 for now. How's that?
Make a button bracelet, then wear your cares away. Buttoned up and beautiful.
2 of each. Let's zoom out a little bit. On the bottom of the large center focal point button, we could leave the wire just like that, or we could add some seed beads. And I showed you at the opening that I have some blue seed bead mix and red bead soup, if you will. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this together. I was actually surprised I didn't have some red, white, and blue already made because I've used these seed beads so many times. Oh, I do have some black beads in here. I see that now. I'm going to take the black beads out because they don't really go with what we're doing. I don't want to accidentally pick those up. I have some silver, red, and shades of blue. Let's go ahead on the back of this and just pick up however many seed beads we need to go across this button. And I'm going to use a beading mat.
Every bracelet starts with you. 2-hole, 4-hole shank buttons too. Vintage to modern buttons will do. Mix and match your favorites, every shape and hue. A one-of-a-kind creation made by you. Buttoned up.
Although I'm wondering, did I run into this where I can't put 2 strands of wire through here? Is that going to be an issue? Yes, it is. Or you know what? We will just thread these separately. We'll just start dividing the bracelet to the 2 strand right away. And I'm not using any rhyme or reason here. I'm just going to randomly pick up beads. I do have different sizes in there, but I think for the very bottom, I'm just going to stick with the small ones. These are probably 10 or 11 O's. They're quite small. Picking up some of the silver here and there. Probably have too many, but let's take a look. I just want enough to, yeah, I have too many. I just wanted enough to bring it to the edge of the round button. So I'm going to take a few beads off of here, but do the same thing here.
Buttoned up and beautiful, bright as morning light. Cheerful buttons dancing in the light. The design, the style, the colors shining through. The buttons are completely up to you.
Let's see where we are. Got that light blue in here. You know, I have to say, I'm not crazy about the light blue in here. I'm going to take the light blue out. I'm not going to pick any more of those up. So I will do my best to ignore the light blue. Okay, I've got 2 strands here. Let's go ahead and clip these and do the other 2. It doesn't take very many, but we need something at the bottom of this bracelet. Again, trying to ignore the light blue.
Buttoned up and beautiful, happy days are here. Make a button bracelet you love all through the year. Buttoned up and beautiful.
I think I've got 1 too many. 1 more strand to do.
Every bracelet starts with you, yeah. Digging through jars and little tins. That's where every story begins. Tiny treasures waiting there. Buttons found with love and care.
If I've got these 2 where they pretty much match in length of seed beads and it's to the edge, we can go ahead and add another bead here. I'm going to add one of these 6/0 blue beads. 6/0 right here. Hope you can see that. Let's do the same thing over here. First, let me double check and see. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Flip it over. We should barely see these. They should just be enough on the back, and then we should just see the 6/0 coming out of it. And these will all get pushed down and tightened up as we go. Okay, I think I'm good. And I think for now, I am done with these. We'll see here. I'll just set them aside. How's that? We have 2 strands here and 2 strands here, so we're ready to start making a pattern. So I'm just going to push that down. Let's take a look at this. This is what we have. The seed beads underneath are disappearing. So the only purpose they served is to give us something on the bottom of here. Now we're ready to get into some kind of pattern. I think I'm going to work in a little crystal. I have blue crystals too. I have a couple of dark blue. And let's see what we have for red. We have 8mm blue and 8mm red rondelles, crystal rondelles. Of course, we have some white beads in different sizes. Not a lot of any one size. Since this is the focal point of the bracelet and the top of the bracelet over the wrist, you know, let's add something that's going to make everything really pop. So I removed that 6/0. Let's see if I can get 2 wires through the white bead. Normally you can. It's just the seed beads that it's hard to do that. So we have the white starting there. Let's do that to the other side. I'm eliminating that blue 6/0 and going to a small 6mm white bead. We're going to have different beads and findings and sizes than what I have. So this is just about the idea, just for some inspiration to try something like this. Okay, now what? Let's pick up a few seed beads before I start a new pattern.
Striped and floral, shiny or worn, every bracelet can be reborn.
I think I'll work on one side here and see what I can come up with before I do the other side. One side at a time. Might be the way to go on this. Initially, anyway. I just need for these to be approximately the same length, which they are. Now let's see about putting this through a blue crystal. There's really no right or wrong with this. It's just whatever colors you like. And then let's do this white. No, let's do a clear. Clear, and then the red. That's what I have so far. Because that center button is so large, it puts these right here on this side. I think I want them closer to the top. Didn't know that until after I added them. So let's do this again. Go with the blue.
Some are round and smooth as glass. Some have charm from years long past.
Mother of pearl and painted bright.
Each one catches a little light.
Every button finds its place.
Pushing the beads down towards the center. All right, that's what we've got. I like that better with having these rondelles closer to the top. Now, I have the 2 strands. Am I going to do anything with these 2 strands? Afraid I'm going to have a lot of wire left over, but I am trying this for the first time. Let's go ahead and pick up a few seed beads.
Adding beauty,
Adding grace. Buttoned up and beautiful, colorful and true. Every little button brings a different point of view.
Now let's bring these together in a small white bead. We need some more buttons in here. I'm forgetting about our buttons. Let's work in a red button or a blue. Let's do blue.
mix a little vintage with a modern style.
You'll be wearing handmade happiness with every smile.
Layer up the red,
White and blue,
or choose the colors that speak to you.
a splash of yellow,
A hint of green,
the prettiest bracelet you've ever seen.
Need to make sure that button's lying the right direction. I think that's going to work. Now, what do we want to work in? We can work in crystal. Let's see if we can work in this red button. The seed beads are going right up to it, so I'm going to add some more seed beads. In fact, I might want to just get a few more here. We are getting really close, though, to the end of the bracelet. I can see that here. Surprising that we're here already, but it's because the center button is so large. So maybe I will take this off of here and save that and just go through a white bead instead of a button. I'm okay with this side, so for right now, I'm going to just go ahead and repeat what I've done so far on the right, and then we'll check it again.
Prettiest bracelet you've ever seen.
big buttons, little buttons, thick or thin.
Your creativity always wins.
No 2 bracelets are the same.
That's the fun of this little game.
Trust your eye, enjoy the ride.
Let your imagination be your guide.
Pick your favorites one by one.
Before you know it, your bracelet's done. Buttoned up and beautiful. Oh, every bracelet starts with you. 2-hole, 4-hole shank buttons, 2 vintage to modern buttons will do.
Happy days, jewelry making waves. Make a button bracelet perfect for you.
Buttoned up and beautiful, cheerful buttons shine.
Every little bracelet is a
Handmade design, dancing in the light.
If you're enjoying this video, I sure appreciate a thumbs up, a like, and be sure to comment. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe and keep watching. There's more. Okay, I am getting very close to where we need to add a clasp. So I can't add a whole lot more when it comes to the beads, but I can add a few more. So I have, what did I pull out here? I have a red crystal and a clear crystal. So I'm going to add that here and to the other side. Then I'll check the length again.
sparkling all day through.
The design, the style, the buttons are completely up to you.
Buttoned up and beautiful.
Do you see how close we are here? This is where we need to go ahead and work in a clasp. Now we could use a lobster clasp or a toggle clasp or make a button loop clasp. I didn't completely allow for button loop because I have 2 strands here and the 2 strands won't fit through the seed beads. So I'm trying to think about if I have a workaround or if I should just go ahead and add a different type of clasp than a button clasp. I wouldn't mind working in this as a button clasp, but I do have a challenge because I need to make a little loop of seed beads to go around the button and I can't get 2 strands through it. So I'm thinking. Sometimes when you're making jewelry, you just have to pause and think about your next step. That's kind of the case right now. Yeah. What's my next step? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. I have some silver crimp beads here. Crimp beads, not tubes. I'm going to get out 4 of them just in case I need 4. And I'm going to slip the 2 wires. I know the 2 wires will fit through a crimp bead just from experience. I know that. So I've got a crimped bead. And then let's go through one more small decorative bead. This is my smallest of my little white round vintage beads. Let's see if I can do that. Let's check this again. What I'm going to do is something that's a little different, but if I want to do a button loop, like put this button on this end and then put a loop around it, I need to get myself down to a single strand of wire because as I showed you, I cannot get 2 strands of wire through these seed beads. Can't do it, but I can get a single strand through. So since I went ahead and put this crimp bead here, and since I'm happy with my pattern, and it all looks the same, I'm going to go ahead and crimp this right here. Flatten it, I should say flatten it. So I am securing both of those wires right now with that crimp bead. I mean, they're not going anywhere. But at the same time, I need to trim one of these wires off so that I can work with just one. And I want to hide that end of that wire inside this bead. So I'm going to trim this pretty close, at least no wider than that bead. I'm going to trim this. I cut off one wire. Can you believe it? It's like, oh no, we are down to one wire. So let's tuck that wire inside of here. I'm going to switch hands here. And we are going to go ahead and pick up enough seed beads to make a loop to go around one of these red buttons that will attach to the other end. Might have to do the same technique there as far as going down to one wire. I didn't have those light blue in here, but that's how my bead mix was. No big deal. It just takes me a little longer to go around and pick out the colors that I do want to use.
Let your colors flow.
Turn a handful of buttons into something you can show.
Happy days and jewelry making way.
Creating smiles in
So many ways.
See what we've got here. I'm just going to bring this back together here and check and see if we can get this button through here. Oh no, we can't. I need some more seed beads.
Buttoned up and beautiful.
That's what handmade dreams can do.
Buttoned up and beautiful.
Check this again. That looks pretty good. I think I can remove 2. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put another crimp bead here. Yep, forgot my other crimp bead. Okay, now that I know how many seed beads I need. All right, I need to take these off, add a crimp bead, and I'll put these back. I'll do that and be right back. Let's check this again. Of course, it needs to be tightened up and everything, but I tell you what, I'd rather have it fit just a little bit tighter rather than too loose. I'm going with that. So what we need to do is take the end of our wire and go back through the crimp bead, the one that I had forgotten about. I'm going to go through one more bead. Nope, not going to do that because I have this wire in that bead. Just going to go through the crimp bead, that's all. You can only get the wire through the beads so many times, so just tightening that up. Now that I have it pulled through here, let's check it one more time. That's going to be fine, just fine for the button to get through the loop. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers because they're nice and tapered, and I'm going to flatten that crimp bead. Check it, it's good. And then I'm going to cut the wire as close as I can to the crimp bead. Ideally, I would have fed it through the white bead, but I already have that tail in there. I'd like for that to be shorter. See if I can get any closer. Yes. Okay, now we have our loop, but we need to get our button on here. And you can see with the pattern we have here, we need to add our button. We need to have a little bit of flexibility. So let's see what happens if I just go directly to the button at this point without adding any other beads. Let's see what happens. That would put the button right here. I can't completely put this around here because I have the wire. Well, maybe I can. If I hold on to the wire and tighten that wire up. It's a little bit loose on me. I could eliminate a couple of beads here. I don't think it would be that major. I'll tell you what, I'm probably going to sell this bracelet. I'm just going to go a little bit larger with it. I'm going to add the same size bead that I have here. I'm going to add a crimp bead if I haven't lost them all in here. There. They just have a slightly different look than the seed beads. Thank goodness. Let's go through the red button and back through the crimp bead. Now, can I get 4 wires through the white bead? I think we decided that I could not. So we're only going to go through the crimp bead. Get a hold of the ends. Tugging on each one. Try to even them up. I'll tell you what, I'm going to clean this up so it's not so busy, and I'll be right back. Hopefully that looks a little better. Let's just go ahead and tighten this up, securing the button. Let's check this before we crimp this. Let's just make sure that, we can even get this on. Very important. Like I said, it's a little bit bigger for me, but that's okay. And I'll show you what size it is when I'm done. This is going to be our buttoned up closure, and I think I'm ready to call it. Just have to decide if I want this wire to go to the side or the top. I think I'll just have it go to the side of the shank, and it's probably going to move around a little bit, and I'm going to flatten this. Got to be able to get to that to trim it. Yeah, we want to be able to trim that, flatten it, giving it a little bit of flexibility. I'm not flattening it too tight. Flatten it, check it, last chance, one more time before I cut the wire. Kind of weird having the wire hanging out there, but yeah, let's cut the wire. Let's call it, and then I'll measure it and tell you what we've got here. I've already flattened it, I've already checked it, but if I really wanted to, I could probably unflatten it. I've done that before, a time or two, to make adjustments. Trying to get as close as I can, because I couldn't go through a bead anyway. Okay, got it. Let's find out what size this buttoned up bracelet is, this red, white, and blue. Let's find out. First of all, this is what it looks like with that fun flower on top. And then we have a blue button on that side, and a red one for the clasp. We are looking at, well, it's funny. It says 7 1/4, but I thought it was a little bit loose for me, but 7 1/4. I still will list this for sale eventually, but 7 1/4. Now that our bracelet is done, we'll take a closer look at it, and then I'll show it to you on a display, and I'll probably even try it on. So here it is.
Every bracelet starts with you.
Red, white, and blue,
Or every color in view.
make a button bracelet,
Perfect for you.
Here's our cute little button bracelet. Looks like a miniature necklace, doesn't it? Yeah, cute as can be, with the button clasp in the back, handmade, with the focal point being a vintage button. All right, I'm going to try it on now. Here it is. Here's our red, white, and blue buttoned up bracelet. Is this something that you would try? I hope you do, and I hope you have fun. I will be putting this bracelet into our store, AvanteJewelry.com, so check that out and have fun making one. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Vickie, and I'll see you in the next video.
buttoned up and beautiful. Come along with me. Red, white, and blue, as pretty as can be.
Jewelry making waves, bringing smiles all day.
Make a button bracelet, then wear your cares away.